Welcome back to the Worldwide School Psychological Support Project aimed at supporting the mental well-being of teachers and students after the coronavirus pandemic. Chapter 7: How to measure impact of psychological actions and exploit the model of competences included in O1. Module 4: Evaluate the effectiveness of assessments. In this fourth module of our video series on Chapter 7 about evaluating the effectiveness of assessments, we will first address how to ensure reliable and valid measurement in assessment, then in a second part we will discuss about how to ensure that the tests are sound, and finally in a third part we will see what are other strategies to improve test validity and effectiveness. Ready? It is time. Correlation coefficient formulas are used to find how strong a relationship is between data. It is expressed numerically as a number between -1 and +1. Thus, 1 indicates a strong positive relationship, -1 a strong negative relationship, and 0 indicates no relationship at all. Pearson correlation is the most common measure of correlation in stats and shows the linear relationship between two sets of data. Psychometricians use these coefficients to assess relationships involving human behavior, and the closer the correlation is to +1, the stronger the evidence is for determining test quality. To design effective assessment strategies, it is crucial to be confident in the conclusions you draw from the results. How do reliability and validity apply to assessment decisions? There are several types of reliability determining whether you can have confidence in the consistency of an assessment strategy. Test-retest reliability. A test should produce similar results when the same test is used again. Parallel forms reliability. Create two parallel multiple-choice questionnaires with different sets of questions but from the same bank of multiple-choice questions to discourage the students seated next to each other from copying. The tests are equally difficult and the correlation coefficient is not strong. Some adjustments should be made if it is not the case. Inter-rater reliability. When a test has obvious answers, knowing whether different raters would reach different conclusions is unnecessary. However, when a test circumstance depends on the judgment of an expert, it is possible that experts will have different judgments. Taking into account a high positive correlation coefficient helps to confirm that experts reach the same conclusions about the quality of a performance. There are several types of validity informing whether you can have confidence in the truthfulness of the measurement. Face validity. A well-conducted test will motivate candidates because they believe that the content of the test seems to match the knowledge they are expected to demonstrate. Content validity. The content of the test must assess what has been learned. The test does not meet content validity if, for example, it covers other learning modules that have not yet been studied. Construct validity. The test should measure the psychological constructs you wish to assess. If the test far exceeds the knowledge base of the students to be tested, the test results will not be able to assess what the students actually know about the targeted content, so construct validity will not be met. Criterion-related validity. Your test scores should correlate with other relevant measures. For example, a learner's positive test results should be linked to future entry into a university or targeted position requiring the knowledge and skills learned. Let us now turn to our second part, how to ensure that the tests are sound. How to ensure that my multiple-choice questions are sound. Low-tech indicators. This approach involves determining by listening and observing where problem areas might be. Students may ask clarification about a question during the test. This could be an alert for unintentional error or poorly constructed items to be revised. In the case where all students get an item wrong, whether the question is poorly designed or the target content could have been presented better. High-tech indicators. Using a scoring system that is capable of analyzing items allows statistical data to be used to determine possible improvements. They provides three types of data. Item analysis. This information displays the distribution of all student responses, which can provide information about which distractors work best. Ideally, learners should choose the correct answer. Difficulty score. This is the percentage of students who answer a question correctly. Test items with difficulty scores that are too low, indicating that very few students got the answer right, or too high, indicating that almost all students got the answer right, should be rewritten to better measure what you want to measure. Discrimination index. This statistic provides a calculation that compares students' overall scores with their scores on individual items. If the discrimination index is high, then the test question does a good job of differentiating between high and low scoring students. If the discrimination index is close to 0 or negative, it is best to rewrite them, as the wording of the question or the possible answers may have confused the learners. Some educators use enrichment strategies that involve using student errors as a basis for improving student understanding. To ensure if an overall test meets your needs, you should first get feedback from students. They can point out elements that are confusing or unexpected, and their feedback will allow you to revise the test for future administration. Then you should look at the grade distribution. If the distribution is skewed, it may demonstrate that the test is too hard or too easy. Ideally, the grade distribution should look close to a bell curve. We now turn to our third and final part. What are the other strategies to improve test validity and effectiveness? Here is a list of several strategies you can use to improve test validity. Your testing intentions should be consistent with the goals and objectives you have formulated for the course. Proofread your test carefully and eliminate any unexpected errors. Ask students or another external reader review your assessment to determine if the instructions are clear, that is, the wording is appropriate, clear and understandable if necessary. Compare your results to other targets that match your test plans. Consider reviewing the statistics of the items previously studied in this unit to identify items that need to be revised. Consider using a think aloud strategy. Ask learners to pick the answer they think is correct and provide them with time to explain their choice. To ensure if the performance assessment strategy is effective, several parameters need to be considered. Here is a list of relevant parameters that should be reviewed. Assessment profile, including for example items such as method, level of assessment, cognitive taxonomy, formative or summative usage, performance, cost, time, etc. Subinformation, including for example items such as teacher directions, scoring guide, rubric, student materials, estimated time for administration, etc. Delivery method, whole group, small group, individual, online scoring guide to be used with the assessment, including for example scoring guidelines, answer key, generalized rubric, etc. Recommendations. This list is not exhaustive. You can examine as many parameters as you deem useful to ensure the effectiveness of the evaluation strategy. If your learners lack motivation in taking assessments seriously, which is a problem that may occur, you can use self-assessment and ask learners to self-assess. Involve students in the design process of the assessment or evaluation rubric. Ensure that the assessment contributes fairly to the scoring. When it comes to determine the overall success of an assessment or program, two strategies emerge. Target benchmark strategy. In this approach, average all students' scores on the assessment measure. If the average exceeds 70%, it certainly means that learners have acquired the knowledge and skills you have identified as important. Adopting a 70% threshold is a preferred solution for programs that are reasonably strong. The second strategy involved is the improvement rate. This approach aims for a small percentage of improvement after a baseline has been established. This strategy allows for the gradual improvement of results that were not very satisfactory at the outset, and thus raises the overall quality of the results. This module is now over. Your next destination is Module 5. Use assessment data effectively and ethically. Thank you for your attention. All the WSPS partners hope you enjoy the content of this video series as much as we enjoyed developing it. Keep working hard. See you soon.